Yo, what's up? Bob here. Welcome to the Bob Bradley YouTube channel. As you can see from the top of the video, I've been doing some traveling. I've been searching around looking for cool records and other paraphernalia. Memorial Day weekend is upon us, and so there are lots of cool events happening here in town. There's a large flea market at the fairgrounds. It's an annual event. I often go. This year I found something very cool. We're going to get into that in a moment. We also went to Madison, Indiana. They have a district that is filled with antique shops. We did some searching there and came up with some cool results. And of course, I hit my local spots and found some excellent records that we're going to get into right now. Found this one for around $7. I do collect the records of the band Steel Pulse. This is Babylon the Bandit. Cool cover, Steel Pulse, kind of a funky dub reggae band. They have a lot of keys that kind of make the band sound a little dated at times, but if you can just push past that, you can realize the greatness of Steel Pulse. Songs have a lot of themes that are social and politically related. This is an excellent sounding record, great Steel Pulse songs, and it is on one of my favorite labels, Elektra. A lot of my favorite bands are on Elektra. This is a great record, super clean, and for $7, it is a welcome addition into my collection. It was at an undisclosed location. That's right. There's some locals that watch this channel, and I do try to keep this location somewhat secret because I have pulled some great records from there. I found these two records featuring the same two artists, Marvin Gaye and Tammi Terrell. Yeah. You're All I Need has Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing on it. And this one here, Marvin Gaye and Tammi Terrell united, has the monster hit, Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Interestingly enough, both of the huge hits have the word ain't, which at this time probably wasn't even considered a real word. That said, they are both on the Tamala label that is a division of Motown, and these records are normally pretty smoked. These are probably just breaking into VG+, possibly just conservatively graded VG, I would say. But they play pretty good. You know, a little bit of noise, but nothing atrocious. And I paid $7 a piece for them. Was happy to have them. Was down at Guest Room Records, yeah. They seem to be going through a little collection. And I saw this, one of the Nick Drake records that I don't have. I think I have them all now. Actually, this is Nick Drake, 5 Leaves Left. When I did my Nick Drake video last year, almost everyone said, Bob, the best Nick Drake record is 5 Leaves Left. It's cool. I like it a lot. Obviously, the Riverman is on here. The cello song is really cool. And also, Saturday Sun, I really thought was very nice. This is the Back to Black version, which I think is just a high-def digital rip of the record. But it sounds pretty good. It's pretty nice. It's not bad. These Nick Drake records are impossible to find originals of, and hopefully one day I will. But until that day, I will have these Back to Black reissues to listen to. I have been looking for the Velvet Underground Loaded for about a year now. I passed on it many times when I was a younger man, going through the crates, not realizing that it would become difficult to find one day. They recently came out with the Clear Anniversary Edition. I think Rhino put it out or something like that, and I almost bought it. It was $22. But then I saw this 1980 German reissue, 80 or 81, I think. And the Germans really know how to press a record, so I thought, yeah, I'll get that. It was not much more than the reissue, Has this cool little exclamation point hype sticker, iconic trademark cover, Velvet Underground loaded, and of course the standard Atlantic label, but you have the German information down here at the bottom of the label, of course. One of the, if not the best, Velvet Underground record. They're sort of like 50s rock gone bad, garage leanings, obviously, but you can hear their influences. You can get some Beatles every now and then, or possibly some shades of Dylan, or even Neil Young. There is obviously some things happening on this record. You can hear where Lou Reed is going to eventually end up. And this is a very nice copy, super clean, German press. Paid $30 for it. Very nice, very nice. I have been collecting all of the reissues that the Smashing Pumpkins have been putting out. I was down at Guest Room and saw their 1993 psychedelic rock masterpiece, Siamese Dream, on the wall for $48. That's rather expensive, but it's really cool. As you can see, it has this very psychedelic foiled cover. We've all seen this reissue many times. Now, the record is supposed to look like this. This is the original pressing. This one is on orange vinyl. It's like the second pressing, I guess you would call it. The first one was purple vinyl. The second one was orange. As far as the sound goes, this one is cut much hotter, much louder. Sounds fantastic. Oddly silent vinyl. This one here, not cut near as hot. I think they were going for a little more dynamic mastering there. They possibly got to that spot. That said, there's a lot of detail on this. You can really hear that big muff coming through on some of the tracks, especially on the intro to Rocket and Cherub Rock and some of the long psychedelic shoegazy parts and Soma and stuff like that. You really get that detail on the fuzz guitar. I do love this record quite a bit. I remember the day it came out and I went and bought it. And it's the CD is right over there. That said, this is an excellent version of the record. It sounds amazing. Do not be afraid to pick this up. It is well worth the money if you are a Smashing Pumpkins fan. It is on these custom Virgin labels. Presentation on this is top notch. Tip on foiled jacket. Comes in poly-lined sleeves. The whole deal. They spared no expense, and that got passed on, quite frankly, but it was definitely worth it. Super happy to have it. It's just a little companion piece to my OG. That way I don't have to wear out my original pressing. I mentioned earlier that I went to the flea market at the fairgrounds and I found something cool. As I was walking through the various vendors, looking through all the records, my wife, Janet, came to me. She said, there's a little amp over here on the floor and the guy's got $75 on it. Here it is right here. This is an old Silvertone amp. It is missing one knob. I stuck a little chrome knob on there. This is what is this? A 14, I'm just going to take a guess, 1482 maybe? Yeah, pretty nice. Now, this tag here does say tube amp, $75 as is. And I told the fella, I'm going to finish walking through the flea here. I'm going to continue to look for records, and if the amp is still here when I get back, we'll talk about it. Well, the amp was still there when I got back, and you know, I did the things that you would do. I asked him about the amp. Is it working? No, it isn't. Fine. Pulled the fuse. Fuse was good. Looked at the tubes. They looked fine. He said the tubes were lighting up. That's a good sign. And I noticed that the area where the speaker was connected wasn't looking great. So I had a relatively good, I had the feeling that I could get this sucker working. So I made him an offer. I said, I'll give you $40 for it. You know, don't want to offend you or anything, but you know, that's what I feel comfortable paying for the amp, because if there's something wrong, like say one of the transformers was smoked, I'm probably going to have to put some money into it to get it going, and then I'd have a lot more money in it. He agreed, and I paid him $40 for the amp and brought it on home. Cleaned the amp up, sprayed out the tube sockets, and lo and behold, the speaker wasn't even hooked up. So once I got that hooked back up, and the whole amp clean and everything like that, works like a champ. So I'm going to let you hear that here in a second. And yeah, super stoked on that. It's not every day you find any type of vintage gear at a flea market. That might be one of my first scores ever of finding an actual piece of usable vintage guitar equipment at a flea market. Next, I was in Madison. I mentioned that earlier. We were going through all of the various antique shops. We finally strolled into a closing guitar shop that had some amazing guitars, by the way. Unfortunately, they were well out of my financial range. That said, once again, Janet saw this sitting on the shelf. This is that Hendrix / Elvis 68 comeback special pattern Ace strap. It's the original one from the 60s. Yep, it's got that felt velvety, whatever you want to call that, liner. And I asked the guy how much he would take for it. He said he would take $30 for it. So I got that right away. Now, that's it. I do have another one. See, I have one here. Same deal on my old Strat. Yeah, this is an old 58 Stratocaster. And yeah, I paid much more for this strap. So I wasn't leaving this one behind. Was really super stoked on that. So we had a good time. We went on the Buffalo Trace tour. That's a big bourbon distillery in Frankfurt. And, we do that from time to time. Just go check out the distilleries around. We have this thing here called the Bourbon Trail. And it's good times. Buffalo Trace, one of the finest distilleries with some of the finest bottles that you can get. And all of the tours are free and they're really fun. And you get to see these, quite frankly, ancient operations. Really cool. See how they make the bourbon and stuff. That can only be made in Kentucky. That's right. Any bourbon that's not made here is not bourbon. You have to have the water that is filtered with the limestone table that Kentucky sits upon. So don't let anybody lie to you about that. Anyway, all right, guys. Until we meet again. That's right. Bob out.